So we have a customer.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
You're the customer.
Okay, Carol.
Since this is something that you had talked to me about investigating in one of our meetings, I wanted to share this with you, that Verizon has initiated a site selection process for the Hudson area. So they gave some correspondence that says they're in the process of doing a formal site search and that it takes up to, is it
18 to 36 months.
so, it may not be something we see results of right away, but it looks like that there's at least some activity being started.
18 to 36 months, it says.
Just to evaluate it. Well, at least it's a start.
Surely
And
if they-
and they're aware of the issue, and that's, you know, I don't know what else you can do. Zoning issues are you're concerned about? What's that
Well,
about?
yeah, I told them that if they come into any problems with zoning, to talk to me.
Okay.
I hope they don't just
So-
turn away because they perceive this an issue there, but
So they say the Hudson area, so what radius around the Hudson area there?
I've described
Is it
the
25
area
miles that-
north of the, or, you know,
Yeah.
on K-19 or the
Right.
continuation of K-19. I've described that to them. I haven't talked to this man directly, I've talked to government affairs essentially.
Because, we have traffic counts for, what's it called, Ike and Joe's Corner,
Yeah,
and there's like, it's in the 400s, either direction from that intersection.
a day.
But
A day. Well,
yeah.
Whatever,
it is a
traffic
day.
count, is that 24 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there it
pretty
is.
hard.
It's amazing, really.
Yeah.
But Verizon doesn't work even in the Seward area. I mean, you know, we have Nextech or Sprint, which works great, but as far as Verizon, when you hit the county line, you're pretty well done.
So I hope when they come
So
back
it's a
and do
much
that
larger
thing
area than
now
just
thing, they'll
Hudson.
figure that out.
But although, and it may have been the conditions, last Wednesday, I was at 281 and the 19 intersection, and there's 5 bars.
Really?
And a couple of weeks ago, I was there going south and had 0 bars. So I don't know if it was
That's
the stars
interesting.
were aligned and
Apparently.
correct alignment.
Mr.
But I do have those traffic counts. And it's like northbound, it's 470 some, and eastbound is almost 4, westbound is, and so, but there is a lot of, well, obviously there's a lot of oil field traffic right there.
Okay.
And I think the concern is between 4th Street and further east, not 4th Street, but 19 extension and further east. As well as 4th Street. So good. At least they're aware of the situation.
Well, at least to start.
To start.
Did you contact the other suppliers too?
I don't know, the answer to that is probably no, because even though the phone calls were made, I don't think it got through to the right people.
No.
I'm a little surprised Nextech isn't.
Yeah, so I thought too.
Yeah, I need to, I have someone else I should call, except-wise. There,
And just like
yeah.
what they did at Seward would help tremendously if they just put it on top of the elevator there at Hudson. It's not as good as a cell tower, because their elevators aren't as tall.
Someone has one on top of Hudson's elevator now, I don't know who.
Really? A cell
I think that's Nextech.
I
It is.
Could be.
I think
Could be.
Because I know when I was up there for their celebration in Hudson, I had no signal with Verizon.
Well, I never thought about it, but I have good signal there. They may have one. If that's the case, it's just people have the wrong phone, what can you do about it?
Wasn't that, didn't EMS go with Next Tech because they have Next Tech? I perceived it anyway to be that their coverage was better, but anyway.
Well, it is in my area. I just didn't coverage with anyone else.
I'll bring this to you next week. This is the moderate income housing proposal I've been working on.
Mhm.
And I think what's a combination of what's eligible for the grant and what I can work out with the resources we have here is a plan that would apply for $300,000 from there. We would use it in conjunction with funding that economic development has to build rental units, 2 rental units. The construction would have to be done under the umbrella of the county. The county's the one that is the eligible applicant, and they want a capacity statement. I pointed out that you've recently overseen a major construction project of the annex, and that, you know, county's capable of managing that scope of project. You get the rental houses, like duplexes built, we'd use the revenue first. First of all, you wouldn't have to manage those on an ongoing basis. The county doesn't want to manage rental. Didn't think you probably do. If you saw fit, you could pass that to economic development, and economic development could do that to not only A, address the rental housing need, B, one of the things that comes up, not only, it comes up in economic development roundtable meetings several places, is that one of the barriers to having a better rental housing situation in rural areas is that there isn't a professional management company in a lot of these places where people know where to go, that it has consistent management of their property and so forth. We could maybe work with the rental houses we have to help cultivate that type of a business here. And the rental revenue from those could be used to finance the construction loan to try to catalyze some single family housing development. So we could just finance one by one some single family housing construction with that revenue. And so I just talked with them. That fits the parameters. That doesn't say that they're going to approve it, but that type of plan will fit into what they are lining out in there.
Where would you build this house? You said, remember,
We're in the process of trying to acquire some property. Economic development is
in which communities?
throughout the county.
I see.
But all 3 school districts.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
So
That's interesting.
if you're agreeable to that, I'll keep working on that, and then next week I'll show you the final application. And they do ask for a resolution to, must include a resolution from the applicant's governing body giving the applicant the authority to apply for and participate in the RFP. So.
But you think that you could, out of your office, handle the daily or weekly, whatever, requirements of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm turning into a payment collector. That's what he can do.
Really?
Now, you had mentioned about the tax sale, and is there obstacles on the tax sale regarding the liens on this, that the city has on these lots?
Well, they had some blank stuff that they was going to
How
forgive
is
one
that?
time, I think, didn't they?
That's up to the city,
That the city have to forgive them.
right? Oh, on special assessments,
Yep.
we have to collect, yeah, we have to collect it, once they assess it to that property. And then it's up to the city if they give it
forgive
back to
them.
the,
Okay, does that collection have to occur in the process of selling the property? Or is it a matter of that property can sell for $10 and then the new owner is then responsible for
Well,
that back?
now, in a tax sale situation, say a property brings $1,
Mhm.
I mean, everything's abated off. City doesn't get it, or we don't get our taxes, nothing. But I don't know, in the past, Joe has always required that the minimum
What?
bid be what the taxes are. And I do not know which way Joe's going on that.
They're not looking at tax, they're looking at mowing expenses. That's why
Right.
they put that's not taxes, it's mowing expenses. And they got that accumulated against the property. And they have to forgive that, or else it's still, when you buy the property, you're gonna pay for it up front. The city,
Are you talking about in a tax sale? No, it gets written off if it's not collected in the tax sale.
that's the way he didn't used to
City
explain that way.
doesn't
He
get
said as
their-
long as those,
Those
as long as
specials were on there.
those specials on there, they have to be paid.
Well, then that'd be like us saying, well, the taxes are on there and they gotta get paid. No, the purpose is to get it cleaned up and get it
That wasn't the
back
way it
on the
worked.
tax rolls.
That wasn't the way it worked. You check with the county attorney, that's the way he said, he told us up there, right?
But see,
That's
and
the
every
way I
county,
used to do it.
every county attorney does it different,
Exactly.
so you better get with Joe.
That's what he said, that's what
Yeah.
he said about, we discussed it a couple of years ago.
I have not had a tax sale that I've done that at, so.
Do you think that the attorney has the authority to determine whether he wants to run it such that it's a zero price to, or, dollar, whatever to begin with, versus?
I think the commissioners.
We had a discussion, we got, with him, and this wasn't the last time I had a tax sale, it's been 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
now. And
we've discussed that with them.
that was the issue that come up about the fees that the cities had put on the property, because they wasn't, unless they forgive them, he said, you still owe fees.
I don't know what-
Which can be way more than the taxes or.
Oh, yeah,
Usually,
oh, yeah,
yeah.
they have some,
Right.
they have some
Usually,
big
yeah.
fees on
Tax
it.
part, okay,
Yeah.
so what would be the process that actually, I mean, at
We
this
have to
point,
talk
when it's
to Joe.
already,
I think
when
I'll
it's
get that
already
correct.
published and everything, how could the cities forgive it within this time frame before the sale occurs, you know? I mean, that's gonna happen next month. Some of these counties, or cities only meet
Yeah,
once a month
when it-
anyway.
Is September
don't
6th the day of the sale? Somebody called me saying the sale's September 6th, but I don't
No idea.
know.
I don't know.
September
That's
6th,
Joe's
is
deal.
my understanding, is the date at which they are, it will definitely go up for sale if they haven't corrected the situation.
Because
They
I-
haven't paid their taxes.
That's not the day of the sale.
That's not the day of the sale, is my
Right, okay.
I
understanding.
know that he had announced it there when the sheriff says it, but if you are buying, what your responsibilities are too, that should be disclosed the day of the sale.
Yes, because sometimes you have
Because
special
I- yeah,
assessments
disclosed
like that
one
are
time we
happening
didn't
this
get-
I've
year.
got some ready to put on
Yes.
One time
now
we didn't
that
sell
are already in the
because
tax
of
sale.
And that will be on the 2012
And they'll
tax
go
roll.
on.
One time they didn't sell because they had, and he disclosed the fact that they had these, cities had these liens and people didn't buy the property then.
Well, it seems to me that.
So it needs to be straightened up for the
Right,
sale.
and what you don't want in the end is something where it has a no sale after you've gone
After
through
all
all of
Oh,
this
yeah,
for all these
yeah,
years.
that's what
expensive.
happens.
It's
And see,
expensive
that's
to
the
do.
problem, if there's not a situation where it can be brought back to a sale price that begins at something very minimal, it's gonna no sale, and that's not in the public's best interest, it's not
Right, that was the
get
problem
paid,
we
it's
had
not-
on the last tax sale.
Most
So
of
it
them
was
don't
a
sell.
minimum down.
Way bottom.
Low
But the
enough.
county's not gonna buy them. We got stuck with it.
Right,
One time, way back when, I know, and it took a long time to get them cleaned up. But they thought they had to buy them back, and no, you don't have to, so just forget about it. Just leave them like they are, because I had buildings, they had that, one of Maxwell had to tear down, and give it back to the city, and have stuff at Stafford, and
So it
then
seems
last
like
week.
if
So we
the-
finally got straightened out, and that got stopped.
it seems like if the county has the legal authority to begin that sale at some minimum amount as opposed to if the authority exists to start that at some minimum amount as opposed to whatever accumulated fees there are, that would be in the public's best interest because it's gonna most likely get it moving and back active on the tax rolls, don't you think?
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So,
So
on
should we be
this,
kind of pushing
this
for that?
September 6th date is the date of, if you're 3 years in arrears. But if you can come in on that day and pay the first 2 years.
No, you have to pay it all
You have to
now.
pay it all now?
At this point, you have to pay everything, and even this year, you gotta bring it all current.
Okay.
You still, once it's up in district court, you do not have that option then to come in and pay a couple of years just to get it out of the tax sale.
I was reading the paper, I think it's Pawnee County, they was going to allow over there, their county attorney's going to allow to be paid 2 years, first 2 years, and then set the other up on payment, that's the other.
And we don't do
I know,
payments.
that's what it's gonna do Pawnee County, so you can do it, I mean, not saying you
You
can't,
can, but I will not.
Yeah,
No.
that can be done.
I do escrow payments ahead on current taxes, but not when stuff's in arrears. You get it caught up and then we'll work on, I have a program that we just automatically take it out of their checking account, and then when December's here, they have enough to pay their first half taxes. So it's an escrow, we're doing it ahead of the game, so we don't ever even get behind. So,
Okay, so,
Well, we can't tell the cities what to do.
But you can tell the city, I mean, the county attorney, or give him direction on what outcome you choose to, what outcome you want, can't you?
Yeah, and we've had this discussion as far as what we
There-
can do. It's-
There's ones that have to,
and you know, I don't know what he's decided. That, yeah, we just need to have some communication with Joe. Is he gonna allow a minimum bid, or is he gonna do like last time, and the minimum bid has to be the cost of the taxes and assessments against it? So we just need to talk with Joe and ask him what his plans
Well,
are.
I think his plan is to have the minimum bid be the back of.
Okay, that's what he did
And I don't
last
think
time.
that's gonna be in the public's best outcome if there is a legal way to do it differently.
I agree.
I don't think Joe is going to choose to do that though unless pushed.
They've talked to him about
They
it.
have talked
We have
about
talked about that, and I don't think, my recollection is that we want it back on the tax rolls, and we don't want it left hanging out there.
right?
And
And
if it brings a dollar, it brings a dollar, as long as somebody owns it. That's what I remember.
Absolutely, that's our whole idea, that's why the tax city is, but.
Can you
But
preclude
But it's
the,
been a while.
So
ago.
they had properties that just don't, because you've got, maybe you got an old building out, people who want the expense, I know one down here, there's a trailer, I even suggest I'd give the city one time. And, I wouldn't gonna have the expense if they just tear down the old building, and stuff like that,
assessments as
so.
to whether the special assessment tax.
Bring it up on that one.
City special assessments.
That's the way I remember the conversation, but it's been a long time ago. This conversation happened, so I don't know how we can get Joe in here to discuss this, currently time's running short. But we can't, I don't know what we can do about the cities as far as that.
I don't know what a course would be that could actually be done before a sale. I mean, truly, what would a process be that the cities can't just, a city clerk can't just say, oh yeah, forgive it, Can they? I
No,
mean,
once it's
That's-
assessed,
once
once
it's
they
assessed,
certify to
once
me
they
that they
certify
want
the
$500 for mowing charges on that lot, it gets put on there.
That's
So
why
then-
the
okay, so then
cities
when you
need to
say
be
it's up to the
careful when they
city,
do
Yes,
that.
they do,
How
and I
could
have
they?
told them to be careful, but they do it. You wouldn't believe what I'm gonna assess up in Hudson on 3 lots.
well, I
So
understand
can
the other
the
side of
city
it
go
too, is
back?
take care of
They-
their
they
own
can-
property.
they can
Exactly.
Once they're certified for it, they
The
cannot.
city council can
take it
forgive it,
back.
right?
Yeah, absolutely they can, the city can.
But you
I
can forgive
thought-
it now, it's kind of like though, when you're talking about, once it's in district court, you can't just pay part of it and be up. I mean, it's probably the same
But-
way with how can that process legally work that those fees
I
can be
thought once
forgiven once it's
if
in
it
the.
goes to tax sale, and like it brings a dollar, then, you write off everything, special assessments, taxes, district court fee. You don't even cover your district court fees
I
if it
think
brings
it's
a
up to
dollar.
your county attorney though, how he
That's
sets
right.
it up.
This is where the communication
Right.
needs to start, is with him. Because every county attorney does things, their
They do.
process different. So
And
where,
that's why, if it's done differently in different places, that seems to me that the legal authority is there to do something different than
I'm not
just.
an attorney, Carolyn. But that's what is difficult for me in my office. People call me, ask because I'm the person that should have this information, I'm the tax gal, and I cannot answer these people's questions because I do not know what Joe's process is, and I cannot get communication. So I'm really frustrated, and it makes my office look bad that I can't answer these people's questions.
Is Joe here today?
I don't know.
How come you can't get Joe to talk to?
Huh?
How come you can't get Joe to talk to?
I can't ever find him. I put calls in, and they don't get returned,
Hello.
and I'm not gonna go running down the halls every time he's here just to have him say to me, well, I just have a minute.
Well, I noticed Roger said that you can't get him to talk to him. I was just curious as to if that's a problem. Okay.
He doesn't keep regular hours here.
Yeah,
I know,
that's
but
what's
If we
hard.
knew he was gonna be here on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
or-
we don't know his schedule.
We don't know.
And you can't call him and get an answer to your question.
Well, I can, he'll return my calls, but some of the other electeds he won't, or department heads he
How
won't.
about 3 commissioners? Will you return your call?
I'd call him.
Yeah.
I mean, I just get to the secretary, but eventually I get to hear back from him.
But it is a problem.
And when he's here, he's usually like in
In
court,
district court or
and he
something.
does his thing, and then he's
He doesn't
gone.
come just for
No,
county business.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if he would. If we knew he would be here,
we knew his schedule.
even an afternoon, just so we could talk to him about
Yeah.
stuff like that. Frustrating.
Okay, well,
Well, we will try and make contact with Joe and ask some of these questions. And other than that, I don't know if, as far as the city, maybe you should make an effort to contact them. And get it on their agenda or whatever they need to
And
do.
you know, maybe Joe can contact the city, you know, I don't know if there's some process he can do, but just, we really just need
I was thinking we got something resolved the last time, didn't we? Or no?
Hey, it's been too long.
It's been-
I remember the
Didn't
discussion.
any of
I
that
remember-
property sell last, on last tax sale? or
I
just a
remember the last
repeat?
tax sale, quite honestly.
You know what, just a
Well, it didn't have very many
few
parcels, did it?
properties sold, but not very many, and I think it was because of,
It was before
You
my
couldn't buy
time.
it for-
They're in the
And
tax
that's been
assessment.
several years, so now the specials have
yeah.
built up, a few more years.
I think there's even some demolition on some properties.
there has,
You know, that gets in the
The city of
thousands.
Stafford has more property themselves, it's like tax sales.
the city of Stafford,
Yes.
they
What?
don't.
They've come over, they have come over and bought properties,
Oh.
the city has, Stafford bought to get property cleaned up over there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago, when we sat, Joe sat here and he talked about, you know, the county doesn't want to own the properties and all these things we're talking about now. We had this discussion. But I remember the discussion concluding that, you know, if it sells for $1, good. So I don't think that Joe would be opposed to that. That's not my, it's certainly not our opinion, I know that. So we'll have to see if we can get a hold of him.
Well, I know that comment, he said we didn't want to be in the real estate business, the county didn't.
Right. Well,
And,
which you guys very much agreed to, because I remember.
well, maybe we could turn them into community gardens or something.
There you go.
All right, Karen,
Thank you.
thank you.
Please.
No, I don't.
Just rubber lips on the Whitbacker.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
it,
gosh,
that's
that was
it.
funny. I laughed out
All
loud. I'll have to let you read it.
All I have is the transfer of property agreement, and we took possession of these radios quite some time ago, so I guess they just got around to doing the paperwork there at the state. And it needs, oh, needs Joe's signature.
Good luck. Seriously?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, my stars.
And yours. So, I thought it was, oh, I thought it was your guys's, but that's county counselor, so I guess it's,
Now, these the 800 radios?
yes. We've had those radios for some time. We're getting another one through the state, but we've actually had these radios for some time. About the time that I came to work here, so we acquired those radios. So they're only 3 years behind collecting their certificates. So, same way talking to you. I actually visited with Joe Saturday on the Fire Relief Association issue, and that's still, I guess, Mr. Duncan is still, I don't know why they don't resolve it, but I guess they're not, so it's continuing on. And I guess it'll go to court.
Duncan is, she's fighting it, what's he saying?
From what I understand from Joe is that he is fighting it. I don't understand if
What's
it's
he
a dis-
fighting?
I don't understand. Well, what's at issue here is that once you no longer have a fire department, you can't collect funds
I understand.
through the Fire Relief Association, which gets channeled to the firefighters. Well, for some time they didn't have that, and I don't understand what he don't understand about that. But I guess he doesn't, or he's just being hard-headed, or his lawyer's giving him bad advice. But I'm sure a judge will look at it and see that it's pretty simple. You didn't have a fire department, you can't collect Fire Relief Association funds. Those funds would have gotten distributed to the county firefighters as a whole, instead of that portion being sidelined into the Hudson City Department. And so those funds are sitting over in Pratt in an insurance agency under people's names, including Stewart and family members. And of course have been frozen. But it's my understanding from visiting with the state representatives that they're fine, our firefighters are fine. Really just move the funds over to the county firefighters association, and we're fine with that. Firefighters were fine with that. State's fine with that, but apparently Stewart and Court, his lawyer, are not fine with that. They, for some reason, still think that those funds rightfully belong to the names that they're sitting under, which puzzles the heck out of me, how they can see it that way, but it'll go to court, I guess. So,
Well, if that's what it takes.
I guess, so, might not be a pleasant outcome. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks.
You
Good
got a
day.
baby yet, Steve?
No baby yet.
Okay.
Anything else?
Not anything right now.
Let's recess. Anything else, gentlemen?
I have nothing.
And nothing
Let's recess. I mean, adjourn.